My name is Barbara Coleman, and I'm 72 years old now. What I'm about to tell you happened 3 years ago on a hiking trail in the Blue Ridge Mountains. It's a story about love, about family, and about the moment when everything I believed turned to dust. My husband Thomas and I had been married for 47 years. We raised 2 children together in our little house in Asheville. Our daughter Melissa moved to Seattle after college and built a good life there as a pediatric nurse. But our son Derek stayed close. Too close, as it turned out. Let me take you back to that October morning. To understand what happened, you need to understand who we were. Who we thought we were. Thomas worked as an accountant for 40 years. Nothing glamorous, but he was good with numbers, good with people. He saved carefully, invested wisely. By the time he retired, we had a comfortable nest egg. Not millions, but enough. About $800,000 plus the house, which was paid off, plus his pension and our social security. We weren't rich, but we were secure. And that security, as it turned out, made us targets. Derek had always been different from Melissa. Where she was driven and independent, he was softer. He drifted through college, changed majors 3 times, finally graduated with a degree in communications that he never really used. He worked various sales jobs, never staying anywhere longer than 2 years. When he married Jennifer 15 years ago, we were hopeful. She seemed stable, worked as a dental hygienist, had her head on straight. They bought a house in town, just 10 minutes from us. Derek finally seemed to be settling down, but we didn't see what was happening behind closed doors. The spending, the gambling. Derek had developed a taste for online poker, for sports betting. Jennifer liked expensive things. Designer bags, spa weekends, that new car every 3 years. They lived beyond their means, and they hid it well. To us, they seemed fine, successful even. They'd come over for Sunday dinners, laugh at Thomas's jokes, help me in the garden. Jennifer would hug me and call me MOM. Derek would kiss my cheek and ask about my book club. I loved them. God help me, I loved them both. The leaves were turning gold and crimson that October morning, the way they do in the mountains when autumn settles in. Thomas had woken me early, excited about the weather forecast. Perfect hiking conditions, he said. Clear skies, mild temperatures, low humidity at 73. He was still spry, still eager for adventure. He did yoga twice a week, walked 3 miles every morning. I loved that about him. He refused to act old. I made his breakfast, oatmeal with blueberries, the way he liked it. We sat at our kitchen table, the one we'd bought 30 years ago at an estate sale, and planned our route. Eagles Peak Trail, moderate difficulty, beautiful views, about 5 miles round trip. That's when Derek called. Hey MOM, Dad mentioned you guys were hiking today. Mind if Jennifer and I tag along? I was surprised. Derek hadn't shown much interest in hiking since he was a teenager. But I was pleased too. Quality time with our son. It seemed like a gift, of course, sweetheart. We'd love that. Great. We'll meet you at the trailhead at 9. They were already there when we arrived, standing by their new SUV. Another purchase they couldn't afford, though we didn't know that then. Jennifer wore expensive hiking gear, everything matching. Everything brand new with the tags probably just removed. Derek had his phone out, taking selfies. Ready for an adventure? Thomas called out cheerfully, absolutely, Derek said. But something in his voice sounded off. Strained. I dismissed it. Just my imagination. We started up the trail. The morning was beautiful. Sunlight filtered through the trees in golden shafts. Birds called to each other. Our boots crunched on fallen leaves, creating a rhythm that felt almost meditative. Thomas walked beside me, pointing out things he knew I loved. A hawk circling overhead, mushrooms growing on a fallen log. The way the light caught the spider webs, making them look like strings of diamonds. After 47 years, he still noticed what made me happy. That's real love, I think. Not grand gestures, but daily attention. Remembering that your wife loves hawks and mushrooms and morning light, Derek and Jennifer hung back, whispering to each other. I glanced over my shoulder once and saw Jennifer's face. It was hard, determined. Not the face of someone enjoying nature. Everything okay back there? I called. Fine, MOM. Just catching our breath, we stopped for water about halfway up. Thomas shared trail mix he'd packed. Almonds and dried cranberries, my favorite. Derek barely ate any. He kept checking his phone, even though there was no signal this far up. Beautiful day, Thomas said, settling on a rock beside Derek. We should do this more often. Family time is important. Derek nodded but didn't meet his father's eyes. Yeah, sure, you seem distracted, son. Everything all right at work? For just a moment, Derek's mask slipped. I saw fear in his face. Panic. Then it was gone, replaced by that easy smile. Works great, Dad. Just great. It was a lie. We learned later that Derek had been fired 2 months earlier. He hadn't told us. He'd been leaving the house every morning, pretending to go to work, actually going to the casino. We continued climbing. The trail grew steeper, rockier. My knees ached, but I pushed on. Thomas held my hand on the difficult parts, steadying me. His wedding ring pressed against my palm, warm from his body heat. That ring had been on his finger for 47 years, never once removed. We reached the lookout point around noon. The valley stretched below us, a patchwork of forests and fields, small farms and winding roads. In the distance, we could see Asheville, hazy and small. This was our spot. We'd been coming here for 30 years, since before the kids were born. Still takes my breath away, Thomas said softly. Wrapping his arm around my waist, we stood there. Two old people who'd built a life together, who'd raised children and buried parents and weathered all the small storms that marriage brings. In that moment, I felt perfectly content, perfectly safe. MOM, Dad, come look at this, Derek called from further up the trail. There's an even better view. We walked over to where they stood, near a rocky outcrop. The cliff face dropped sharply here, maybe 60 feet down to a rocky slope covered in scrub brush and boulders. It was dangerous, I remember thinking. Too close to the edge. The view is incredible from right here, Jennifer said, pointing toward the valley. You can see everything. Thomas and I moved closer to see, trusting them, not suspecting anything. Why would we? They were family. Our son. Our daughter-in-law. That's when I felt it. Hands. Strong hands against my back and shoulder. A sudden, violent push. Thomas and I tumbled forward. The ground disappeared beneath us. For a horrible, eternal moment. We were flying, falling, the sky spinning above us. I heard my own voice screaming. Or maybe it was Thomas. Maybe it was both of us. The fall seemed to last forever and no time at all. We hit hard. Not the bottom, thank God, but a wide ledge about 20 feet down. The impact drove the air from my lungs. I landed on my right side, and I felt something crack. Pain exploded through my ribs, my arm, my hip. Blood filled my mouth. I must have bitten my tongue. Thomas was beside me, his face contorted in agony. His leg was twisted at an awful angle. Blood ran down from his scalp, matting his grey hair, dripping onto the rock. For a moment, we just lay there, stunned, unable to process what had happened. Then I heard Jennifer's voice from above, cold and clear as ice water. Are they dead? Those 3 words changed everything. In an instant, I understood. This wasn't an accident. This was murder. Derek's response made my blood run ice cold. We need to make sure. Let me get a rock. A big one. Thomas's hand found mine. His fingers squeezed tight. He was bleeding from his head, his leg clearly broken, maybe his hip too. But his mind was sharp. His lips moved close to my ear, his breath warm against my skin. Don't move, he whispered, barely audible. Pretend we're dead. Don't make a sound. I understood immediately. If they thought we'd survived, they'd finish the job. Our only chance was to play dead, to let them think they'd succeeded. I went limp, letting my eyes go unfocused, staring at nothing. I stopped moving, even stopped breathing deeply, just shallow breaths through my mouth. Blood trickled down my chin. My arm screamed with pain, but I didn't move it. Through my half-closed lids, I could see their shadows moving above us, blocking the sun. I think they're gone, Derek said. His voice sounded strange, not sad, not horrified, just flat, matter of fact. Look at all that blood. No way they survived that fall. We need to be sure, Jennifer insisted. What if someone finds them alive? Look at them, Jen. My dad's leg is twisted backwards. My mom's not moving at all. They're dead. A pause. Then Jennifer spoke again. Okay, let's go. We need to get down to the parking lot and call 911. We have to make it look like we weren't here. Like we went ahead on the trail and didn't know they'd fallen. Right. We'll come back with the rescue team. We'll be devastated. Crying. The grieving son and daughter-in-law. My own son. My baby boy. The child I'd carried for 9 months. Nursed at my breast. Rocked to sleep through countless nights. The little boy who used to bring me dandelions and call them roses. Who'd cried in my arms after his first heartbreak. Who danced with me at his wedding. He'd just tried to murder us. Jennifer's laugh was soft, almost gentle. It was the worst sound I'd ever heard. The inheritance is finally ours. Your father's been holding onto that money too long. 800,000, plus the house, plus his pension payout. We can pay off everything. The credit cards, the casino debts, all of it. And there'll still be plenty left over. We'll wait a respectful amount of time, Derek said. 6 months, maybe. Then we'll sell the house. Take a long vacation. Hawaii, maybe. First class. 5-star resorts. We deserve it after all this stress. We'll cry at the funeral, Jennifer added. We'll be devastated. Your sister won't suspect anything. She's too soft-hearted. Tragic hiking accident. It happens all the time to elderly couples who overestimate their abilities. Elderly couples. That's how they saw us. Not as people. Not as Thomas and Barbara, who'd loved and lived and mattered. Just elderly. Disposable. Worth more dead than alive. Their footsteps retreated down the trail, growing fainter. I heard Jennifer laugh again. Heard Derek say something I couldn't make out. Then silence. Thomas and I lay there in agony, not daring to move, not daring to speak. Minutes crawled by. Maybe half an hour. The sun moved across the sky. A breeze picked up, cold against my bloody skin, when we were certain they were truly gone. Thomas finally spoke. Barbara, his voice was weak thread. Can you move? I tried. Slowly, carefully. My right arm wouldn't respond. Broken, probably. My ribs sent sharp pains through my chest with every breath. But I could move my legs. My left arm. I think so. I whispered. My ribs. And my arm. But I can move. What about you? My leg's broken. My hip too, I think. And something's wrong inside. I can feel it. He coughed, and more blood appeared on his lips. Internal bleeding. Barbara, listen to me. You need to climb up. Get help. I'm not leaving you. You have to. I can't make it up there. My leg. I can't even stand. But you can. You're stronger than you think. You've always been stronger than you think. I looked at my husband of 47 years, at the grey in his hair, the lines around his eyes that came from smiling, from laughing with me, from building a life together, at the blood on his face and the pain in his eyes that he was trying to hide for my sake. I'll come back for you, I said. I promise. I know you will. You've never broken a promise to me. The climb was the hardest thing I've ever done. Harder than childbirth. Harder than burying my parents. Harder than anything I'd ever imagined. 20 feet doesn't sound like much. But with one arm hanging useless, ribs grinding with every movement, blood in my eyes and mouth, it might as well have been Everest. I found handholds in the rock face. Tree roots. Anything I could grip with my left hand. I pulled myself up inches at a time. My feet scrabbled for purchase. Twice I almost fell back down. But I thought about Thomas lying there, broken and bleeding, waiting for me. And I kept going. My fingernails tore. My knees scraped raw. I tasted blood and dirt and fear. But I climbed. When I finally pulled myself over the top edge and onto the trail, I collapsed. For a long moment, I just lay there, breathing, crying, shaking. Every part of my body screamed with pain. Then I heard voices, footsteps. I tried to call out, but my voice came out as barely a croak. I lifted my left arm, waving weakly. A young couple appeared around the bend. Hikers with proper gear and concerned faces. The woman, blonde and athletic, dropped to her knees beside me. Oh my God. Ma'am, are you okay? What happened? I told them. About Thomas on the ledge below. About the fall. I didn't mention Derek and Jennifer yet. That would come later. First, Thomas needed help. The young man, tall with kind eyes, already had his satellite phone out. Yes, he confirmed. They had one for emergencies. He called for help while his girlfriend stayed with me, taking of her jacket to wrap around my shoulders. You're going to be okay, she kept saying. Help is coming. You're going to be okay. The rescue took 3 hours. They had to helicopter in. Couldn't get rescue vehicles up the mountain trail. They airlifted Thomas out first. I watched them strap him to a gurney, watched the helicopter rise into the sky, and I prayed harder than I've ever prayed. Then they came back for me. At the hospital. Everything became a blur. Doctors, nurses, bright lights, questions. They said my broken arm, wrapped my cracked ribs, stitched the cut on my head I didn't even know I had. 3 fractured ribs, broken radius, severe contusions, mild concussion. Thomas was in surgery. Multiple fractures in his left leg and hip. Internal bleeding. Punctured lung. Severe head trauma. I sat in the waiting room, my arm in a cast, my ribs taped, and I waited. Melissa flew in that night from Seattle. She held my hand and cried. She didn't understand yet. She thought it was an accident. The police came. That's when I told them the truth. Detective Sarah Morrison sat across from me in a quiet room. She was middle-aged, competent-looking, with sharp eyes that missed nothing. I told her everything. About the push. About the voices. About our son and daughter-in-law standing over us, planning to make sure we were dead. About the inheritance they'd killed us for. She took notes carefully. When I finished, she looked at me with something like pity. Mrs. Coleman, I need to ask you this. Are you absolutely certain about what you heard? Trauma can sometimes cause confusion. Memory can be unreliable after a head injury. I met her eyes steadily. Detective, I've never been more certain of anything in my life. My son and his wife pushed us off that cliff. They thought they'd killed us, and they were happy about it. She believed me, or at least, she took me seriously enough to investigate. They found Derek and Jennifer at home, watching television. When the police told them about our accident, their performance was flawless. Derek broke down crying. Jennifer called Melissa immediately, her voice breaking with grief. They'd already started planning the funeral, but the investigation revealed everything. Derek and Jennifer's finances were a disaster. Credit card debt of over $100,000. Derek's gambling losses totaled nearly $200,000 over the past 3 years. Payday loans. Collections agencies. They'd refinanced their house twice and were 3 months behind on payments. They'd been drowning in debt, and Thomas's estate was their only lifeline. The police found text messages. Deleted, but recovered. Jennifer to Derek. 2 weeks before the hike. Can't wait much longer. We need to do something permanent. Your dad won't give us a loan. Won't co-sign. We're out of options. Derek to Jennifer. I know. I've been thinking about it too. Maybe an accident. Something that can't be traced back to us. Jennifer. Hiking? They go all the time. Falls happen. Derek. When? Jennifer. Soon. Before they find out about the house. Before everything falls apart, there were more. Plans. Discussions. Debates about the best method. They'd considered everything from car accidents to house fires before settling on a hiking fall. It looked natural. Elderly couple, steep trail, tragic accident. They'd been planning our murder for weeks. The trial was 6 months later. By then, Thomas had recovered enough to attend. He sat in a wheelchair, his legs still in a brace, but he was alive. We were both alive. Derek and Jennifer both testified. They claimed innocence. Said they'd gone ahead on the trail, were already on their way back to the parking lot when we fell. They'd had no idea anything had happened until they saw the rescue helicopters. But the prosecution had the text messages. They had our testimony. They had phone records showing that Derek and Jennifer had made no attempt to call for help. They'd been planning to return to the parking lot, wait an appropriate amount of time, then discover we were missing and raise the alarm. They had expert testimony about the angle and force of our fall, indicating we'd been pushed rather than simply slipped. The jury deliberated for 2 days. Guilty, both of them. Attempted murder. Conspiracy to commit murder. 25 years to life. I sat in that courtroom and looked at my son as the verdict was read. He didn't cry, didn't show remorse. He just looked angry, caught, like a child who'd been punished unfairly for something he thought he could get away with. I tried to find the little boy I'd loved, the toddler who used to crawl into bed between Thomas and me during thunderstorms, the 10-year-old who'd made me breakfast in bed for Mother's Day, even though he'd burned the toast and spilled orange juice all over the tray. But that person was gone. Maybe he'd never really existed. Maybe I'd been seeing what I wanted to see all along. Jennifer turned and looked at me before they took her away. Her expression was pure hatred. You should have died, she mouthed. I didn't respond. What could I say? Thomas and I sold the house in Asheville. Too many memories, too many ghosts. We couldn't walk through those rooms without remembering Derek as a child. His bedroom, his white marks on the doorframe, the dent in the wall from when he'd thrown a baseball inside and hit the plaster. We moved to a small condo in Sarasota, Florida, near the beach. We walk every morning now. Slowly, our bodies still remembering the fall. Thomas uses a cane. I still can't lift my right arm all the way over my head. Our bones ache when rain is coming, but we're alive. Melissa visits often. She struggled to understand how her brother could have done this. She has nightmares, she's told me. Dreams where it's her instead of Derek, where she's the one capable of murder. It's not you, I tell her. You are nothing like him, but we grew up in the same house, had the same parents. How did he turn out so different? I don't have answers for her. I don't think I ever will. The money Derek and Jennifer killed us for, we've started giving it away. Scholarships for nursing students in Melissa's name. Donations to hiking safety organizations. We're setting up a trust for our future grandchildren, if Melissa decides to have them. Money to be released when they're 30, old enough to be responsible. Derek won't see a penny. We've made sure of that in our wills. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if we'd died that day. If I hadn't been able to climb back up. If help hadn't come, Derek and Jennifer would have gotten away with it. They'd have cried at our funeral, inherited everything, and gone on with their lives. Maybe they'd have divorced eventually. Maybe they'd have gambled everything away. But they'd have been free. Instead, they're both in prison. And Thomas and I are still here. Is that justice? I'm not sure anymore. Justice doesn't bring back the son I thought I had. Doesn't erase the memory of his hands pushing me toward death. Doesn't fix the betrayal. But here's what I've learned in these 3 years. Love doesn't guarantee loyalty. Blood doesn't guarantee family. The people you trust most can be capable of unimaginable darkness, but survival is its own kind of victory. Thomas and I still hold hands when we walk on the beach. We still watch sunrises together. Coffee in our hands, toes in the sand. We made new friends here in Florida. People who know our story and accept us anyway. We don't talk about Derek much. Some wounds are too deep to discuss. But sometimes, late at night, Thomas will reach for me in the dark. I know he's thinking about it then. About the moment our son pushed us toward death. About lying on that ledge, broken and bleeding. Hearing our child plan our funeral. We're still here, I whisper to him on those nights. We survived, and we hold each other. 2 old people who learned that love isn't always where you expect it. That family can be found and family can be lost. That sometimes the people who hurt you most are the ones you'd have died to protect. The mountain didn't claim us. Our son's greed didn't destroy us. We're still here, still breathing, still finding beauty in morning light and ocean waves, and the simple miracle of another day together. That's our story. That's our truth. Every morning when I wake up and see Thomas beside me, still breathing, still here, it's a victory. Every sunset we watch together, every meal we share, every ordinary moment of an ordinary day, Derek and Jennifer tried to end our story. Instead, they ended their own, and Thomas and I, we're still writing ours. One day at a time, one step at a time, still together after 47 years, still in love, still alive. That's the revenge they never expected. Our happiness, our survival, our refusal to let their darkness define us. We were pushed off a mountain by our own son, but we climbed back up, and we're still climbing.